Have you ever wondered with what toys played the 60s kids? Or what risks do you expose yourself to when you drink from lead crystal glassware? And last but not least, what were you able to eat when traveling as an airline passenger in 60s? Step back in time with us as we journey to the swinging 60s, a decade filled with cultural revolution and iconic moments. But did you know there are things from the 1960s we can no longer do in America? Join us as we explore 10 fascinating relics of the past that have faded into history. Riding in the front seat without a seatbelt. In the 60s, hopping into the front seat of a car and cruising down the open road was a rite of passage for many Americans. Seatbelt laws were virtually non-existent, and the idea of buckling up was often an afterthought. It was a time when the front seat represented freedom, a space where you could roll down the windows, feel the wind in your hair, and enjoy the thrill of the open road without the confines of a seatbelt. There was a sense of invincibility, a belief that accidents only happened to other people. But as the years went by, and the realities of car crashes and injuries became more apparent, attitudes began to shift. In 1968, the first federal seatbelt law was passed, requiring all new cars to be equipped with seatbelts. However, it wasn't until the 80s and 90s that seatbelt usage became mandatory in all states. Today, seatbelt laws are firmly in place, with enforcement efforts aimed at saving lives and reducing injuries on the road. It's a stark contrast to the carefree days of the 60s, but one that reflects our evolving understanding of safety and responsibility behind the wheel. Smoking on airplanes. In the 60s, stepping onto an airplane meant stepping into a world of glamour and sophistication. Smoking was not only permitted but often encouraged, with designated smoking sections allowing passengers to light up mid-flight without a second thought. The cabin was filled with the aroma of cigarette smoke, mingling with the scent of in-flight meals and the hum of conversation. For many, smoking was part of the flying experience, an indulgence enjoyed at 30,000 feet above the ground. But as the health risks of secondhand smoke became increasingly clear, attitudes toward smoking on airplanes began to change. Concerns over the dangers of passive smoking, particularly in enclosed spaces, prompted calls for action. In 1988, the U.S. Department of Transportation took a significant step forward by banning smoking on all domestic flights lasting less than 2 hours. This ban was extended to all domestic flights in 1990 and to all international flights in 2000. Today, the idea of smoking on an airplane seems like a relic of the past, a distant memory of a time when the skies were filled with smoke and passengers had to endure the discomfort of breathing in secondhand fumes. It's a testament to the progress we've made in prioritizing public health and safety in air travel, but also a reminder of the changing norms and expectations that shape our experiences in the skies. Using lead paint in homes. Lead paint was a common feature in homes across America in the 60s. Its vibrant colors and durability made it a popular choice for walls, trim, and even furniture. But beneath its glossy surface lurked a hidden danger: lead. While homeowners admired the sheen of their freshly painted walls, they were unaware of the health risks posed by lead exposure. Children in particular were vulnerable to its effects, as they often put their hands and toys in their mouths, unknowingly ingesting lead dust. As the years passed, reports of lead poisoning cases began to surface, raising alarms among health experts and policymakers. In 1978, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission took action, banning the sale of lead-based paint for residential use. This marked a turning point in the fight against lead poisoning, but the legacy of lead paint lingered on. Many older homes still contain traces of lead paint, posing a risk to occupants, especially children. Removing lead paint became a priority for homeowners and contractors, as they sought to protect their families from the dangers lurking within their walls. Today, the use of lead paint is strictly regulated, and efforts to address lead hazards in homes continue. But the scars of its past presence serve as a reminder of the importance of prioritizing safety in our living spaces. Playing with dangerous toys. In the 60s, children's toys were a source of joy and imagination, but they also carried hidden dangers. From chemistry sets filled with toxic chemicals to lawn darts with sharp metal tips, many toys of the era posed serious risks to children's safety. Yet these hazardous playthings often found their way into the hands of eager youngsters, drawn in by their promise of excitement and adventure. Chemistry sets allowed kids to conduct their own experiments at home, mixing chemicals and concocting potions, without fully understanding the potential dangers. Similarly, lawn darts, a popular outdoor game, featured weighted metal tips that could cause serious injury if thrown with enough force. Despite the risks, these toys were staples of childhood play, cherished for their ability to spark creativity and curiosity. However, as reports of injuries and accidents mounted, parents and policymakers began to take notice. In 1969, the U.S. government established the National Commission on Product Safety to address growing concerns about toy safety. This eventually led to the passage of the Consumer Product Safety Act in 1972, which set strict safety standards for toys. Today, toys undergo rigorous testing and evaluation to ensure they meet safety guidelines and protect children from harm. While many 60s toys are now considered relics of the past, they serve as a reminder of the importance of prioritizing safety in children's play. Using the rotary phone. Using a rotary phone was a defining aspect of daily life throughout the 60s. Unlike the lightning-fast digital communication we enjoy today, using a rotary phone was a deliberate and tactile experience. The process began with picking up the receiver, which emitted a satisfying click, indicating that the line was ready. Then, with a gentle whir, you'd insert your finger into the corresponding hole for each digit of the phone number, slowly rotating the dial clockwise until it reached the metal stop. Each digit produced a distinct series of clicks as the dial returned to its original position, signaling the completion of that number. It demanded both patience and precision, as even a slight miscalculation could lead to an error. Yet, there was a certain satisfaction in the mechanical rhythm of the dial as it spun, connecting you to the person on the other end of the line. Rotary phones were more than just communication devices. They were symbols of connectivity, bridging the gaps between friends, family, and colleagues. Today, as digital technology continues to evolve, rotary phones have become nostalgic relics of a simpler time, reminding us of the slower pace and tangible connections of the past. Receiving airline meals included in the ticket price. Taking to the skies was a luxurious experience in the 60s, along with complimentary meals served on board. Airline passengers looked forward to their in-flight meals, which were often included in the ticket price and served with a side of elegance. From steaming trays of hot entrees to decadent desserts, airline meals were a highlight of the flying experience, offering a taste of sophistication at 30,000 feet. Whether traveling for business or pleasure, passengers could expect to be treated to a delicious meal as they soared through the clouds. But as airlines sought to cut costs and compete with budget carriers, the era of complimentary meals began to wane. The extravagant spreads of the past gave way to a more streamlined approach to in-flight dining, with many airlines opting to offer snacks or meals for purchase instead. Today, the idea of receiving a free meal on a domestic flight seems like a distant memory, reserved for international flights or premium cabins. It's a sign of the changing times in air travel, where cost-cutting measures and a la carte options have become the norm. While we may miss the days of gourmet meals at 30,000 feet, the memories of those sumptuous spreads live on as a reminder of a bygone era of aviation. Using asbestos in construction. In the 60s, asbestos was a common material used in construction projects across America. This naturally occurring mineral was prized for its fire-resistant properties and insulating capabilities, making it a popular choice for a wide range of building materials, from insulation to ceiling tiles. Asbestos seemed like the perfect solution, a versatile material that could withstand high temperatures and protect buildings from fire damage. But there was a secret threat underneath its innocent appearance. Asbestos fibers, when disturbed or damaged, could become airborne and easily inhaled, posing a grave risk to human health. Despite the warnings of potential health hazards, asbestos continued to be used in construction throughout much of the 60s. It wasn't until the 70s that the true extent of the dangers associated with asbestos became widely known, leading to increased regulation and eventual bans on its use. Today, the use of asbestos in construction is strictly regulated, and efforts to remove it from existing buildings continue. While asbestos once seemed like a miracle material, its legacy as a silent killer serves as a cautionary tale of the importance of prioritizing safety in construction practices. Watching black and white television shows, gathering around the television set, was a beloved pastime for families across America in the 60s. But unlike the vivid colors and high-definition images of modern TVs, many shows of the era were broadcast in black and white. Despite the lack of color, these television shows captured the hearts and imaginations of viewers with their captivating storytelling and memorable characters. From classic sitcoms like I Love Lucy to iconic dramas like The Twilight Zone, black and white television shows offered a window into a simpler time, where families could come together and share in moments of laughter, drama, and suspense. While the absence of color may seem quaint by today's standards, it didn't detract from the magic of television. In fact, for many viewers, the lack of color added to the charm and nostalgia of these classic shows, transporting them back to a bygone era of television. Today, black and white television shows are often viewed through the lens of nostalgia, cherished for their timeless appeal and cultural significance. While modern technology has brought us high-definition color TVs and streaming services, the black and white shows of the 60s remain a cherished part of television history, reminding us of the power of storytelling to transcend time and technology. Drinking from lead crystal glassware. In the 60s, lead crystal glassware was a staple in many households, prized for its elegant appearance and sparkling clarity. These exquisite glasses adorned dining tables and were often reserved for special occasions, adding a touch of sophistication to any meal. But beneath their beautiful exterior lay a hidden danger: lead. Lead crystal glassware contains up to 30% lead oxide, a toxic substance that can leach into beverages, especially acidic ones like wine or fruit juice. Despite the risks, many people continued to use lead crystal glasses, unaware of the potential health hazards. As the years passed and our understanding of lead poisoning grew, concerns about the safety of lead crystal glassware began to emerge. In response, many manufacturers began offering lead-free alternatives, prioritizing the health and well-being of their customers. Today, while lead crystal glassware is still produced and cherished by collectors, many households opt for safer alternatives to protect themselves and their loved ones from the dangers of lead exposure. It's a reminder of the importance of making informed choices about the products we bring into our homes and the potential risks they may pose to our health. Riding in cars without car seats for children. In the 1960s, taking a family road trip meant piling into the car and hitting the open road, with children bouncing around in the back seat, free from the constraints of car seats. It was a time when safety standards were less stringent, and the idea of buckling children into specialized car seats was virtually unheard of. Instead, parents relied on their instincts and a few simple safety measures, such as holding young children in their laps or using basic seatbelts. While these makeshift precautions may have provided some sense of security, they offered little protection in the event of a crash. As the years passed and awareness of child safety grew, attitudes toward car seat usage began to change. In 1971, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration issued the first federal safety standards for child restraint systems, paving the way for the development of modern car seats. Today, car seats are an essential safety feature in every vehicle, providing a secure and protective cocoon for children on the road. It's a far cry from the days of riding unrestrained in the backseat, but it's a testament to our commitment to keeping our youngest passengers safe on their travels. And there you have it, folks. 10 things from the 60s that are now relics of the past. Which of these do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more trips down memory lane. Until the next time.